As our next speaker, Richard Flanagan, has finished talking, please can I ask you to exit via this corner on the Macquarie end side of the stage, and please can I ask you to obey the marshals. Now our next speaker, Richard Flanagan, was once told by our esteemed Premier Lennon that his writing wasn't welcome in Tasmania. He didn't care, because that's a Premier who doesn't represent the people. We've heard a lot about opposition parties that don't represent the people. So I just want to make a quick reinforcement and celebration of the people that do represent the people. I'd like to acknowledge Ben Quinn, who had the courage to leave the Liberal Party and stand up for you. I want to acknowledge Terry Martin. He had the courage to face the so-called wrath of his party, and end up a stronger, better, honourable man. I want to acknowledge Kerry Finch, who as a true independent represents you and independent thinking. And I'd like to acknowledge the Tasmanian Greens who have battled in the Parliament here against such negativity, such adversity, so valiantly. And I'd like to acknowledge Senator Bob Brown, because he has fought he, together with Christine Milne, has fought long and hard for very tiring years for our wild places and the future of Tasmania. Whether you count the Wielangta case, where he took on Forestry Tasmania in his speech, and join him on the march around Macquarie Street, we will return here where there is music, where there is stalls, where there is networking. Richard Flanagan.
Thank you. I've been asked to speak loudly because this square has not been so full since that fateful rally here to save the Franklin River. This weather reminds me of another day, a sad day, the day of Peter Dombrovskis' funeral, when Tasmania was stunned to discover that Australia and the world grieved for that man, because he had, with one picture, one photograph, one image of our country, changed Australian history. I pay tribute to Peter, and I pay tribute to Jeff Cousins, because the greatest lie they ever sell us is that one person can't change anything. One person is what changes everything. International chip and prospective paper buyers, we will take the fight to Australia, and we will take this fight to the world. And if in the end we have all other avenues denied us, if we are left with no other alternative, if it takes standing on the road to that pulp mill site and placing all that we have left, our bodies, between their machines and our home, we will stand there. We will stand there in peace and in pride. We will stand there united against hate and against greed, joined in our love for our island. And if we are arrested and thrown in jail, then we will go to jail in our tens, we will go to jail in our hundreds, we will go to jail in our thousands, and Paul Lennon will have to build 7 new prisons to house all the people who will come and who will keep on coming. I hope it doesn't come to that, but if it does, I will stand on that road. Put Put down your umbrellas and raise your hand if you'll stand there with me. Raise your hand so Kevin Rudd can see he was wrong. Raise your hand so Peter Garrett can see that people actually care. Raise your hand so John Howard can see this matters. Raise your hand so that ANZ, Perpetual, AMP and the Commonwealth Bank can see that they will have to deal with the fallout of the biggest civil disobedience campaign in Australian history since the Franklin blockade if they do not take action now. Now is the time for our turning. Now is the season for our change. Now must come the moment when we no longer are cowed, when we cease to be silent, when we speak the truth to power and say no to this pulp mill and yes to a future in which we are governed in the spirit in which we live, with goodness, with the interest of others in our heart and not the leash of greed tearing at our throat. Now is that hour. Now is our future. The journey is long, the road is dark and frightening, but I know together